Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty before with the sound, so we're doing a sound check now. Make sure you can hear us. How's it going over there on our tech side? Any sound over there from YouTube?
We're just checking if people hear us.
Okay.
Okay, so we can continue.
Now we go. So let's start over where we were. Now, Dalia and I are life coaches and wellness coaches, and we're getting a lot of questions, of course, now at this time in the world situation where we're all facing a lot of stress and anxiety and having to stay at home more than we're used to. So one of the first questions that we get is how to tackle anxiety. And there's a lot of ways to do it, but let's start with one of the most fundamental ways that we all have access to. It's so powerful and so accessible. Every human being can do this very easily, and it's by connecting to your breath consciously. Really, just trying some of these different yogic or qigong breathing techniques can have a huge impact at every level of your being. And when I say every level, I mean your body, energy, emotions, and mind. And remember, we're holistic beings. Everything is connected. And the breath is the gateway between the body, the emotions, the mind, and the energy. So by doing this one simple practice or choosing from any of these practices under the category of conscious breathing, you can impact your state. And that's really what we want to learn how to do, is to control our state, no matter what's happening outside of us. This is a challenging time. We know that. But whatever goes on in life, regardless of the time, there's going to be external factors that can knock us out of balance. So the idea is to be able to come back into balance, to manage our state quickly, easily, effectively, and efficiently. And breathing is the most simple way to do that. What's one of the easiest ways to do? You just sit with the spine straight. You can sit in a chair, on the floor, put your feet on the floor, and focus on that abdominal breathing. And what that means is when you inhale, the belly moves out, and as you exhale, the belly moves back to the spine. When we're in a state of stress or anxiety, we tend to breathe very shallow up here, just at the top of the lungs. We're not bringing in a lot of oxygen, a lot of breath, and the oxygen is also carrying energy. So it's very important to breathe deeply. And this is actually a skill we all need to learn anyway for the health and longevity of our entire lives. So just sitting, and you can place one hand on the chest and one hand on the belly and focus. You can close the eyes. I always love to close the eyes. That cuts off the visual stimulation of the mind, and we start to connect more directly with our internal state. So we close the eyes, and you can start with a deep, relaxing breath in through the nose. Fill the lungs completely, then exhale through the mouth. You can do that 2 or 3 times, and already with 3 deep, relaxing breaths like that, each time you inhale, you're bringing fresh, healing energy in, and each time you exhale through the mouth, you're purging toxins, you're releasing stress and anxiety, just like that. And if you have a lot of stress and anxiety, do this for 3 to 5 to 10 minutes. And within 3 minutes, you're already going to feel a big transformation. And that's the beauty of these practices. It happens so quickly. There's other ones that are even more powerful that we could say help to balance the brain waves and to open the air channels in the lungs and to harmonize the 2 hemispheres of the brain. So there's 2 I'd like to share with you now. The first is called the humming bee breath. And the name pretty much says it all. We hum the breath. And same thing, we try to sit with that spine tall, the body's relaxed. You can place the hands on top of the thighs. You take a deep breath in. When I say a deep breath, always start by breathing into the belly first, then into the chest. Then it's like you're filling the body up from the bottom to the top. Then you touch the tongue to the roof of the mouth and you hum. And this creates a beautiful, soothing sensation, vibration. Everything is energy. In the cells are energy. The brain is energy, and it's measured with an EKG. And we know that when we use sound, sound can be a very powerful healing modality and balancing modality. So by simply doing the humming bee breath for, again, 3 to 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you have time, it creates such a beautiful sensation of calmness and relaxation. So this is another one that you can do very easily. And the last one that I would recommend is alternate nostril breathing. This is the one that balances the 2 hemispheres of the brain. And if you're not sure how to do it, It's not really in the scope of this talk to take you through all these practices, but alternate nostril breathing means you breathe in through one side, exhale through the other, then do it again. Inhale through that side and exhale through the other. And you do that for 3 rounds. It takes 3 minutes and you're going to feel better. It's really simple. So anytime you feel stressed, just come back to your breath, because what happens is that the mind is really what's creating the stress most of the time, the thoughts about the circumstances we're in. So we can step out of those patterns of thought that are creating stress. We can come back into this present moment. And guess what? The breath and the body, always present. So just come back to the breath, come back to looking inside and feeling the sensations in the body as you breathe, and your mind releases those stressful thoughts. And at some point they might come back. So you come back to the breath again, and this becomes a practice, and then it becomes a habit. And then you have a skill that's really incredibly powerful and effective for everybody to tap into very simply anywhere. You don't even have to do one of the techniques. You can just do that deep abdominal breath. Nobody knows what you're doing, and this calms you down instantly.
These are great techniques. That's why singers, I read a study, they experience less mantra singers, less anxiety than other people, because when you sing, you are present most of the times because you have to control the sound, the breathing, and singing itself is a breathing practice. I love to do humming bee breath while shaking as well, or while walking, especially in nature. And for anxiety, what works for me, the best ways to get outside, because so many people suffer now with this closed space syndrome. They're getting claustrophobic, and they get disconnected. And nature is the greatest healer. And nature right now sends us humans a message: people, slow down. And that will heal the planet, and that will heal us, each of us. So going outside, walking, there's also walking meditation that I personally, we love doing, like Thich Nhat Hanh, the great teacher who teaches walking meditation. He says, walk as if your feet kissing the earth. So you're very present, you're very mindful in what you're doing right now and right here. And that helps your mind to slow down and not jump back or forth. So you're here. Presence is the key. And all these practices, meditation, breathing, movement, yoga, qigong, everything we teach is about being present. So when we breathe, especially when you walk in the forest and nature, and you do it mindfully, and you breathe into your belly, you use abdominal breathing, what Jason just explained. And it's already, you cannot be anxious anymore. I think this is the best, for me personally, the best way is to breathe outside.
And actually, you brought up a good point. One of the things, the next thing that I was going to say that's an incredibly efficient practice is what we call shaking. It's a Qigong practice. And when animals get frightened or have a traumatic experience, well, actually the trauma happens to humans. Animals shake it off right away. That energy gets trapped if we don't shake it out when we have tension. So all you do is stand and you gently bend the knees and you bounce up and down. You breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. You can shake your hands out. You spend 1 to 3 minutes just bouncing, shaking. Your organs get a massage. The fascia tissue gets a massage. Your joints get released. It releases so much tension from the body and mind. And if you're doing deep breathing at the same time, you're not only calming, but you're also getting a fresh supply of oxygen and energy. So this is really, I start every morning with shaking, and it's out of all the years of practice that I've done, this is the one go-to technique that anytime I need to energize and release tension at the same time, I go to shaking with that deep breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth.
Yep. Also committing to your routines is a very helpful tactic, because we get anxious because we cannot control what's going on. And we anyway cannot control what's going on, but it's an illusion of control. But what we can control is our breathing and our routines. We can control small things in our life. And this is one of those cornerstones of becoming of slow living, as they say, which is mindful living, basically. What is slow living? It's mindful living. It's present living. So when we control the small routines of our life mindfully, they become quite big.
Mm-hmm.
They become very significant, because then you open up a gate to enjoyment of what you do. You actually enjoy small things. And while you relax and enjoy, insights happen for bigger things. So this is an illusion when people think that I need to speed up, accomplish more, be greater, be better, be. Speed is an illusion in this case, because the speed creates tension. And when we tensed, anxious, we cannot achieve anything great of any healthy importance in our life, right?
Well, yeah, I agree. And actually, another way of looking at it, instead of routine, think of it as rituals. And, in Japan, they have the tea ceremony. All it is drinking tea, but you're paying attention to the detail. You can make your morning bathroom ritual a sense of meditation and presence, where you're very focused on the sensations of holding the toothpaste, the bristles against your teeth, the sound of the water running in the sink. And this is all ways to bring the mind into the present moment and get out of those thoughts that are causing the stress.
Yeah, and this is mindfulness. You are fully aware of what you're doing right now. And you eat mindfully, you talk to your family mindfully, you brush teeth mindfully, you breathe mindfully, you sleep mindfully. So that these are all the tricks, and it kind of creates this inner feng shui of your bubble, because we can control the inner state, resourceful state of our life inside, just by correct positive mindset and mindfulness.
So one of the keys to being able to do this is being aware of your thoughts.
Yeah.
Very often we get swept away in our thoughts, like a river just pulling us down the current, and we have one thought after the other, and we start attaching to these thoughts. And if we can take a moment and step back and be the observer of the mind, and this is really one of the most powerful ways to create a release of tension, and realize these thoughts are just coming and going. We don't have to necessarily even believe them, and we certainly don't have to hold on to them and get swept up by them. So we step back and we watch the thoughts like they're passing through the sky, like clouds, and just be the observer and understand that when that thought's gone, it's not going to impact us unless we hold on to it.
Yeah.
So trying to really understand that you are not actually your thoughts, and you are not your mind. You are the awareness in which all of your life is arising for you to experience. And this is the deeper meaning of the yogic practices. It's not just stretching the body and doing some breathing. It's understanding who you are at the deeper level. And if you can connect to the sense of awareness, that's where the peace is. So it's going beyond the thoughts that are causing the stress, going beyond the mind. Now, a lot of misunderstanding is that we have to stop the mind. That's meditation. Actually, that's very difficult to do, because the mind by nature is something that moves a lot. So rather than trying to stop the mind and creating stress that I have to stop the mind, or fighting with the mind, which is definitely a difficult battle to win, just allow the mind to do it at once and become the observer. And actually, I play a game. When a stressful thought comes, I try to laugh at my mind and say, "Oh, you're trying to play those tricks on me again." And you start to have this little bit of a game. So you take these practices lightly, have fun with them, just experiment with them. It's not about doing it right or wrong. It's just about using what works for you. And that's another important thing, is trying a few different techniques and seeing what works best for you.
Yeah, sky attitude, I call it. Don't be the clouds, be the sky. And another thing that is very, very important is the control of the quality and quantity of the information you take in. Because right now we can all day long be showered by negativity and in what horrible state the world is today. And I was thinking to myself, do I really need it? Does it really benefit me? If I know how many people, or how many cases are today, or what's happening in detail with the situation, I know it's a difficult situation. It's enough for me. I'm aware of it. I don't want to go into detail because those details create anxiety. So we have a TV, but we don't watch news. We use the TV just for films and practice. I don't read news as well. I can pick up whatever important events of today happened from my husband, or sometimes I go to check social media, and I reduce that drastically too. I go and check social media twice a day. I limited it to 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening, unless it has to be something done with the posts and texts, but that's work. But just scrolling, reduced, because those bits of information, we used, before pandemic, we used to distract our minds with many things. Like we could go to a concert, we could go to watch a film, we could meet friends. Right now, it's not available to us. And a lot of people go crazy because they don't know how to stay with themselves. So they go and stay even more time. They spend even more time online, scrolling and clicking and reading news. And this is like an online overload. So we highly recommend no screen time. Disconnect for screens as soon as you can and as much as you can. And also for the eyes and for the brain, because the screen vibration is very, very fast paced. So when you disconnect and you just look at the tree, at the sky, at the cloud, at the flower for 5 minutes, your mind already has a break.
Yeah.
Right? So quality and quantity of information. Slow down, read books. Reading books right now, twice a day, morning, evening, before bed. No screen time before bed. That creates anxiety too. And we also pick up a lot of little things we don't need from social media, unfortunately, and that creates tension as well. So read some positive literature, some poetry, philosophy, something that helps you to find that center in you and calm you down. Music. Also movement, very important. Nutrition, very important. What do we eat? There's another question, by the way, about nutrition. Nutrition advice to strengthen the immune system. Well, we can share what we do, and we try to eat seasonal, local, organic. We reduce inflammatory factors, like we don't consume gluten and sugar. As much as possible alkaline. So you have this alkalinity balance in your body. It's very important. Alive food. Now in Europe is spring coming, so it's nice to plant something and eat it alive, not from the shelf. Vegetarian, vegan if you can. Something that is bringing into your body positive vibration, clean vibration. And regular, and watching the vitamins intake, like vitamin C, vitamin D, very important. If you can afford supplements, go for supplements. But actually, you don't need a lot, right? Expensive supplements, a lot of supplements is not really the key here. The key here is mindfulness again and simplicity. And try not to drink alcohol and go into substance abuse to calm down. That's where the vicious circle starts.
The good news is we can get high off of breathing, off of yoga, off of qigong, movement, nature. There's ways to feel amazing that don't have the negative side effects, the consequences, the hangovers, and they're free, most of them. And it's easy to do if you just create space in your life for it. What I would say is really remember, what are your priorities? Really look inside yourself and say, what's most important to you today? And then set your schedule around those priorities and do the first things first and take care of what's most important to you. And the other little things, if there's time for them later, that's fine. But if your health is important to you, then you need to take care of it. There's nobody else who can make you feel better except for you. And we are all responsible for taking care of ourselves. So in this stressful time, people are looking for some sort of solution. The solution lies within ourselves and within our habits and our patterns. So start to create healthy habits and patterns. And that just is one step at a time, one day at a time. We do something every morning. It's called a gratitude journal, and every night before bed. So we focus on what we're grateful for, and we set some goals for the day. We set the structure of what we'd like to achieve that day. And at the end of the day, we look back and again, express our gratitude for what we experienced during that day. And we also write down what we could do better next time. And this starts to create a habit of coming back to gratitude, which is really one of the highest vibrations that a human being can have within their consciousness. So the gratitude journal is a great way to help us come back to the positive aspects of what's going on in our lives. Because we can focus on the negative, but that's a choice. We all have a choice of where to put our mind and our attention. And if you get stuck in the habit of focusing on the negative, that's just going to bring your mood down. It's going to have long-term effects on our health and all of the other things. So be aware, your mind is the filter through which you're experiencing this reality. So it's really important to start to take stock and take responsibility for what your mind is doing, because you have a choice of where to put those thoughts or what to do with those thoughts, how to pay attention to them or how to redirect them.
Yes, and also how to spend our energy. Our energy is limited for the day. So I like the analogy of the jar with rocks. It's big rocks, smaller rocks, and sand, which you can fill in, right? So if we put sand first, you can maybe place only one or two big rocks and the smaller ones somewhere in between. So I prefer to start with big rocks. Like, what is important today? What is for me? It's work, it's practice, it's parenting, it's relationship, it's health. It's like big rocks. Did I take care today of those, let's say 5? Just define for you 5 big rocks that you pay attention to. And whenever small stuff comes in, like a social media message or something else, you can still find the space in between, right? But if you're occupied with those, you might neglect the big things. And I like also the symbolism of the heart. Heart works in 3 major phases, and 2 phases of the heart's work are passive, are slow. It's only in one phase that the heart pushes, 2 others heart rests. So our day could be lived by that example. So we split it in, I like to split it in 3 8 hours. 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of work, and 8 hours of leisure, fun, love, movies, whatever you love to do, hobbies. And that works for me pretty well.
Yep.
Right.
So another question that we get a lot is we are stuck, locked down in quarantine, and we're spending a lot of time together with our family and with our partners. And some people are finding this difficult to spend so much time with family and with partners. And that can also create tension where there feels like there's no escape, no way to get your own time. But what we can do is choose, how are we going to spend this time together? What constructive things can we do? So Dalia and I have chosen to study. We read books together. We do our practice together, our meditations together. We talk about our plans, our visions, our dreams. And we also take time for ourselves. You know, we go for a walk in nature separately sometimes, or I read a book and she does something else. So we're in the same space. We're sharing that same space, but we manage the way that we interact in that space by creating a vision of how we can evolve together in this time. Because yes, it's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. It's actually teaching us and forcing us to look within and see how we can deal with something that's very intense. And this is what's going to separate the people that are suffering from the people that are flourishing and thriving, is that mindset.
True.
So having the opportunity to do something that actually enriches your life and helps you to evolve, helps you to be healthier. If you can do that every day, then this is a golden opportunity to actually grow as a couple and as a family. So this is really something that we feel we've been blessed to have this time where usually we're distracted and running around through life here, there, everywhere. Now we're home. So what are we going to do with this time that we've been given?
Go deeper. I say go deeper, and that's our slogan: the deeper you go, the higher you rise. Because we've been, before pandemic, I feel we've been all on the surface. We've been snatching bits there and here. But right now, and we get this question, how can you stay close when closer is not possible? Guess what? It is possible. You can still go closer, because the realms of your relationship, of your souls, open up, and you have time to talk. You have time to connect. You have time to create new rituals. You have time to be creative. You have time to get to know each other deeper.
You can focus on your love life. People say, well, what can we do? Well, if you have that much time at home, one of the beautiful things you can do is connect with your level of intimacy and go deeper into that. And not just the normal, typical way of approaching sexuality as a physical release. And it's more about connecting, meditating together, breathing together, going into this space of deep, profound merging. And this is all possible when you slow down. And again, it's like mindfulness in everything, including mindfulness in lovemaking. And that's something that we often share and teach with our clients and our students. And we travel around sharing the fact that lovemaking can be one of the greatest healing modalities in the world, because you're entering a space of love, and you working with your body, your breath, your energy, your emotions, your mind. Everything is connected in lovemaking. And if you approach it with a certain understanding and with a certain mindset, it becomes more than just a physical experience. It can become literally a transcendental experience where you go beyond the body and mind. And this is where it becomes so healing, and you can relieve these blockages, these traumas that we have accumulated at the cellular level, at the energetic, emotional, and mental level. So we work with lovemaking as a tool. I know that sounds kind of dry, but it's a path. It's a path towards evolution. And that's the beauty of lovemaking. And all the ancient systems that talked about lovemaking as a path of evolution encouraged us to go to this well of love consistently. And if you're having a stressful day, you know that old cliche, not tonight, honey, I have a headache. Well, that's the perfect time to make love, because one of the easiest ways to cure a headache is to get those endorphins running, to get those good hormones flowing, to breathe deeper, to have something that releases stress. This is a great opportunity to connect deeper on the physical, energetic, emotional, mental, and spiritual level, because lovemaking can be a very spiritual communion between two souls. Yeah,
it's like meditation. You can meditate together either during your spiritual practice or during your lovemaking practice, because it's actually a great possibility for couples right now to change something in their intimacy, to see how can we approach it differently. And if you are interested in spiritual practice and you practice meditation or yoga or any spirituality system, you can also bring it there between you two. And as well as parenting. Parenting also could be approached as a meditation. And I love spending time actually now with our daughter. She's at home, she's been on lockdown too, and it's also a great possibility to get to know your child. What does she think? What is she about? How she experiences school, for example, how she experiences life. And this is again a slow living, slow parenting, slow loving. We find it a blessing. A blessing if you change your approach to it. Also, very important, people ask us how to separate work, because it's home office mostly, from home life. And my child is always there. My children are all on my head. It's so stressful. I cannot switch off. I cannot separate. I see my husband all the time in his socks and trainer on the sofa with his computer. It's like nonstop. And what is this movie?
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day. Yeah, it's always the same. How can we bring variety into that? Well,
change it up. Try new things.
Mindfulness, creativity, 2 things.
Creativity,
and actually choices are limitless. And also, do not look at this as irritating factors like, oh my God, I better be in the office now, quiet, having my coffee and my screen. It's an invitation to try something new. And it's an invitation to be a team together with your family members to collaborate around your routines. So they also see. Now, my daughter also sees, oh, that's how my mom works, actually. Huh, interesting. I never knew her this way. Oh, she does. So if we can sum it up with 7 steps for survival, we just noted them down. 7-step survival COVID balance plan. So number 1, slow down. Number 2, commit to your routines. Create something, whatever you love doing, whatever nourishes your soul. Do it. It could be reading twice a day. It could be movement. It could be meditation. Whatever nourishes you, commit to it. No day without it. Then control. Yeah, you want to say something?
I would say find some time every day to do something you love, something that makes you smile, something that makes you laugh, something